Y'all ready for this?
Bravo.
Welcome to Sports Kid Drama Kid. I'm Jim. I'm the Sports Kid.
I'm Andi. I'm the Drama Kid.
And we have a very American-made episode for you today. Probably the sort of pop culture sports reference of the last, I don't know,
that we've been
2-3 years
pretty obviously avoiding.
Yep.
For no reason other than it's just a lot.
Yeah, it is. And that is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, the power couple, the sports and drama overlap mega hit.
Trailer, the invisible string.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about their relationship today. We're going to do that in kind of two parts. First, I'm going to do a little backpedaling to a precursor relationship to the Travis and Taylor relationship.
Oh.
And then we are going to talk through the entire timeline of Travis and Taylor, how it all happened up until this point. And in order to hold us accountable, we're bringing on our friend Caroline, who has done a lot of comedy with us in Chicago, now is in LA. And most importantly for this episode is a huge Swiftie.
Massive encyclopedic Swiftie. This is Caroline Nash. She's amazing. And also I've never met anyone who knows more about everything having to do with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so we're really excited for that. We're going to work in Caroline sort of fact-checking us. So we're going to go through the timeline here, and then we'll record again with her and weave that in somehow. So I hope you enjoy however that ends up.
Whether you're a Swiftie or just Swiftie curious.
Yeah. We're going to start where I said we would start, which is an old relationship between a pop star and an NFL player. And that is the relationship that happened in the late 2000s between Tony Romo and Jessica Simpson.
Oh.
Do you remember this?
I do.
What do you remember about this?
Okay, so this was post Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey's divorce, I believe.
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I'm just talking about their little
Just let me get it out. This is how I process. So I remember that they were dating, and I remember being like, I don't know who that is. I think I thought he was, I don't know. Not that I thought he was an actual cowboy until I found out that he was on the Cowboys. But I guess maybe I thought he was like Garth Brooks or so. I have a vague.
You thought first of all, maybe livestock wrangling cowboy of a modern variety, or a country music superstar.
I guess. I mean,
because those are two things you wouldn't know about.
I'm just saying initially until I found out that he was indeed an athlete
quarterback
on the Cowboys.
For the Cowboys.
You have to understand, I mean, as I say all the time on the show, before you came along, I probably heard the words Tony Romo, Jessica Simpson, and Cowboy, or read them or saw them all together, and I didn't really
So we're gonna go.
So I just remember that it happened, and that I think that they were married and got divorced.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
The meet cute happened in 2007 for Tony Romo and Jessica Simpson. Tony Romo, quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys at the time, popular but not. They didn't win, so they didn't win a Super Bowl or anything. So he's just popular for being the quarterback of the Cowboys, who was pretty good.
The Cowboys branding is impeccable. People are staunch, ardent fans of that team, regardless of how they're doing.
Yeah. So he was already a rising star in the
Coming
NFL when rumors
News,
began linking him to Jessica
Coney,
Simpson
I prefer
because
Jessica.
he was dating around.
Well, that's ridiculous.
The hot
A pop star caught with a cowboy. We'll
Okay.
tell you where next. Welcome back. There's a new player in Hollywood, and I'm guessing he scores just as much off the field as he does on.
Ryan, of course, is talking about NFL star Tony Romo, whose rumored roster of ladies includes Carrie Underwood and Brittany.
Now, stay out of our town, man. And now he can add Daisy Duke to that list.
Jess and the Cowboy QB were spotted together Saturday night in Hollywood. Reportedly, the two flew in from Dallas together on a private plane and later headed to Teddy's nightclub in the Roosevelt Hotel, where Simpson's BFF Casey Cobb was celebrating her 30th birthday. Jessica, looking sexy in a black dress and spike heels, supposedly stole a kiss from Romo right in the front of everyone at the club. All this togetherness comes on the heels of a cozy Thanksgiving dinner, which Tony shared with the Simpson family suite.
You know he's like bragging in the huddle. Strong right, 36 option. I'm totally hooked up with Jessica Simpson.
Oh my God.
If he were smart, he's doing that, right?
Oh my God.
Seacrest.
What a time capsule. Ryan Seacrest and Juliana Rancic. Wow, that's crazy. There was so much there. I kind of remember seeing those pictures of her in the black dress and him in the long blue button down. I have like a vague memory of that. Okay, so that's going on. Oh my God. It's funny because you think, oh, we've come a long way because they definitely don't talk about women exactly like this anymore. But you're like, we haven't come that far.
Yeah, but it is wild how
it's crazy.
You don't really
so
think
much
of
worse.
when we were growing up how bad it was.
It was like so much more objectifying and like rude and offensive than it currently is, at least. Oh my God.
So then we have the pink jersey game, which happened in December of 2007, where Jessica attended a Cowboys game because now they're like an item, and she was wearing a pink Cowboys Romo like flip jersey.
Nobody had done that before?
No, that was just like what they called this because she was in the crowd with his pink jersey.
Got it.
And they kept showing it on TV. And Dallas lost 10-6, and immediately everyone had a backlash and blamed Jessica for essentially getting into Tony's life, which is always what they did at this time and always kind of do in general with men. It's
his performance really went down. Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have you read a couple little articles. This was one that was weird where Terrell Owens, a teammate of his at the time, like weighed in on this and got involved.
Why?
I don't know.
T.O. blasts Simpson. Terrell Owens has a message for Jessica Simpson. Stay away. The 27-year-old singer-actress has become public enemy number one among Dallas Cowboys fans because of a link being made between her appearance at Sunday's game and the poor performance of her new boyfriend, quarterback Tony Romo. Asked Wednesday about the Simpson scenario, Owens playfully chimed in, right now, Jessica Simpson is not a fan favorite in this locker room or in Texas Stadium. The Cowboys lost 10-6 to the Philadelphia Eagles, and Romo had what was statistically the worst game of his career, all while Simpson sat in a luxury box wearing a pink number 9 jersey she proudly showed off for television cameras. I think a lot of people feel she has taken his focus away, Owen said, echoing the chatter on sports talk radio and blogs. Other than that, she was hot on my list until last week. Oh, I got a message for her when we make the playoffs. Just stay tuned.
So like,
what?
Kind of joking, but like kind of like weird.
Oh, this is I forgot about this. Like I remember that they dated, but again, because it had to do with an athlete, I kind of just, and at that point Jessica Simpson was no longer like top of mind for me pop culturally. I just like I didn't realize that this was happening. Yeah, there was like a weird backlash to it. Here's one more article sort of about this Jessica jersey game, him performing badly thing. Okay. Jessica Simpson, a no-show after blame for Cowboy loss. Oh my God. Somewhere Jessica Simpson was cheering on her man. The starlet may have been in the stadium Saturday night rooting on Dallas quarterback Tony Romo. Or she may have been hundreds of miles away from her new boyfriend. Either way, it didn't affect Romo's play. Romo bounced back from the worst statistical performance of his career, which Dallas fans blamed on Simpson's attendance at the last game, by throwing for 257 yards and a touchdown while leading the Cowboys to a 20-13 win over the Carolina Panthers. He said after that his Popstar girlfriend was in attendance, then played it coy when pressed for her location. Quote, I don't talk about my personal life, he said. Unlike last week when she cheered him on from a luxury box clad in a pink number 9 jersey, Simpson was never spotted at this game. And even if she was there, he never let it bother him. This is so
the framing.
fucking crazy.
Her presence may be the reason for all of his.
This is how much we hate women.
So much.
Like,
dude.
seriously, this is how much, especially this country, hates women and has always hated women and used to be able to get away with hating them a lot more publicly without anybody there was no discourse about this. You know what I mean? This is how much we hate women. He did a bad job at his job, and everyone
unrelated.
was like, it's Jessica Simpson's fault?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Even if she did distract him, that's still his fault.
So then in 2008, the couple vacations in Mexico during the Cowboys playoff bye week. So they had a bye week and then a playoff game. So like they were doing really well that season. And this had a similar sort of backlash where they all sort of blamed or criticized Romo for vacationing at that time of the year.
Okay, because they had their week off conveniently right before the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, they basically got a bye because they were like the best team or whatever.
Yeah, so they got that advantage.
Yeah.
And they were like, you should have spent that time not
Prepping.
being on vacation with your girlfriend. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right, Tom, Terry. Here we are, just 4 days away from arguably the biggest game of the year here at Texas Stadium. And who are we talking about? Tony and Jessica. It appears that a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans are kind of concerned about that trip they took to Cabo, Mexico over the past couple of days, including the owner of Jupiter Chevrolet, who actually has a message for Tony and Jessica. Jupiter Chevrolet General Manager Mike Matedich is a lifelong Cowboys fan. His dealership sits along 635 in Garland, and today he has a message he wants everyone to see, especially Jessica Simpson. A message on his electronic billboard reads, Jessica, leave Tony alone until after the Super Bowl.
And I was like, about the Cowboys and how they're going to beat the Giants, and I don't really care about his love life.
Michael is all about the football, and Jessica is getting in the way. That's her at the Cowboys-Eagles game, and we all know what happened there. Then there was the trip to Cabo. Tony and Jessica relaxing, dining, and having an all-around good time. For hardcore Cowboy fans, the message is crystal clear. Hands off Tony.
And that is really telling him, we want the Cowboys to win. She needs to leave him alone for a little while.
I think it's perfect. I think she really needs to leave him alone.
For the Cowboys' sake?
Oh, yes.
Michael, a 20-year season ticket holder, told Secretary Misty York to put the sign up yesterday.
Thought he was joking.
I bet you did, Misty.
But he wasn't, and she agrees that Jessica is a
Big distraction.
As for Romo,
Misty.
Jessica and the Mexico trip won't get in the way of a trip to Arizona next month.
I just kind of laugh and keep going and play. And I try and do two things in my life. One is to work really hard at football. The other is to try and be a good person. And if I do those two things, I can sleep at night.
Michael isn't concerned either. He's confident Tony is a real pro and that Jessica won't be a distraction. But the message, well, it will stay just in case.
Probably after the Super Bowl, after the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, because we want Jessica to leave him alone until after the Super Bowl.
Michael says the sign is all in good fun. There is good news for those Cowboy fans out there who actually subscribe to the Jessica Jinx. Her publicist announced today that she will not be in attendance on Sunday's game, that she'll be working on an album and keeping one eye on the television set, so she will not be here. So Cowboy fans can just kind of, relax and enjoy the game like Jessica will be. For now, we're live in Irving. Barry Carpenter, CW33, News at 9.
Isn't that insane?
I feel like at some point I stopped hearing what they were saying, and it's just the sound of breaking glass.
This was basically a story that should have been headlined like "Insane Man puts up offensive message."
Yeah,
and they ran a whole news story on it.
Yeah, that is. And like all of the people that they interviewed, they were just interviewing people who came to the dealership and saw the sign. They were like, she should leave him alone, including other women.
Everyone's
opinion
God. was just that it was Jessica Simpson's fault.
And like they cut to her and they're like, look at her. There she is at the football. There's a clip of her. She's just sitting there.
Psychotic, dude.
All she's doing is sitting there.
Wild. And
the thing that they don't even consider is like, everybody on TV is like, oh, she's such a distraction because they keep cutting to her on TV. In the moment, he's probably not looking up at her. You'd think he's like missing a pass because he's like, instead of looking where he's supposed to be passing, he's looking at Jessica Simpson. Yeah. I don't know. It's so absurd that they blamed her for this. I mean, was everybody practicing and not going on vacation during the bye week?
I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I would feel that most people probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It seems very kind of like Aaron Rodgers'
I was
current
about
day
to
move.
say that does feel like present day Aaron Rodgers.
Like, I'm too good for this extra week of practice. I don't even need it.
Yeah.
But it didn't even seem like a week. It seemed like a 3-day trip to Cabo or something.
Once again, though, his decision. It's not like she dragged him there.
No. So then in 2009, they broke up. So there was no marriage.
Oh, there wasn't.
No.
Okay.
They reportedly ended their relationship on the eve of Jessica's 29th birthday. And Jessica later reflected in interviews acknowledging the challenges of dating someone with such a public profile. So that's the story of Jessica Simpson and Tony Romo's relationship as sort of a precursor to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship.
Yeah.
And what you'll notice here is that this was totally sort of different in the way that they've been spun. So, hold this relationship in your head as we go forward into the Travis and Taylor relationship timeline.
Okay.
That's what we're off to right now. We are hopping into era 1 of their relationship, the blank space beginning. I literally had ChatGPT generate me these titles based on the theme of sort of the era we're talking about, because I have no idea what her songs are.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, blank space must be one of her songs.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So that's where I'm coming at this from.
Cool.
Yeah. So their relationship starts in July of 2023 when Travis attended Taylor's Eras tour when she was at Arrowhead Stadium in KC.
Yes.
Which is where the Chiefs play.
Yes. And I maybe you're going to mention this. I remember that like he did some kind of interview and I don't remember what he was asked, but his response was like that he wanted to meet Taylor Swift and like give her a friendship bracelet.
Yes, this is the friendship bracelet night.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, so apparently they do a friendship bracelet thing.
Yes,
at Swift concerts.
Swifties, they make and exchange lots of friendship bracelets.
The whole thing was basically Travis wanted to give her one of these with his number on it as sort of a tongue-in-cheek joke.
Yeah.
Hey, but it never happened, and she didn't recognize him or whatever because she was tired after the show.
Sure.
No idea who he is because Travis Kelce at the time was a tight end for the Chiefs who was very good but very unknown relative to what he is now.
I mean, he and his brother had started their podcast already. But I think they were very popular within a group of people, not just the world at large. And I only remember hearing his name on an episode of Married at First Sight where like one of the women getting married was like, I think Travis Kelce's hot. And I was like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. So Travis Kelce, Chiefs tight end. He actually had a reality show, shortly lived, which I'm not going to get into here, which was like Finding Love for Kelce or something. Like,
what? Like a bachelor
like
show?
A bachelor. Yeah. So he's the tight end for the Chiefs, and his most sort of known thing amongst like people I talk to, sports people, is just that he's like the best fantasy tight end for the last.
Oh, really?
However long he's played, pretty much. He's like one of the few guys you actually want on your team at that position. So everyone is always contesting over drafting him.
And is that because he also scores?
He scores a lot and catches a lot of touchdowns from a position that's otherwise
not
mostly
necessarily
like blocking and stuff. So he becomes very valuable.
Got it.
Fantasy.
That makes sense.
So here's a clip of Travis on New Heights recounting that initial meeting.
And New Heights is the podcast he has with his brother.
Yeah. Well, I was disappointed that she doesn't talk before or after her shows because she has to save her voice for the 44 songs that she sings. So I was a little butthurt I didn't get to hand her one of the bracelets I made for her.
You made her a bracelet?
Yeah. If you're up on Taylor Swift concerts, there are friendship bracelets, and I received a bunch of them being there, but I wanted to give Taylor Swift one with my number on it. Not right now.
Your number's in 87 or your phone number?
You know which one.
I remember this.
The initial sort of trying to meet thing. But I'm not 100% sure that the Eras Tour bracelet was actually the beginning of Travis and Taylor.
Okay.
So I think it's time we talk to a Swiftie.
Time to call in an expert.
Yes. So for that, we're going to welcome to the podcast our friend Caroline Nash, calling in from LA to rescue us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, for sure.
Thank
We're
you for being
excited
here.
to have some help.
Yes.
So, Caroline, you met Andi first.
I think
but
so, yeah.
Probably through MCL and like music improv, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the before times.
Yes.
It was a tree house where we got to perform anything we wanted, and it was a magical 3-year period where we all did a lot of fun things.
Yep, we mostly did musical improv and comedic musicals. That is where Jim and I also met as well.
Yeah,
and that's where Caroline and I met. It was a very welcoming environment.
Yeah. Caroline is in LA now. Do you have any plugs you want to get out there before we go deep here?
Sure. Yeah. I have a weekly Substack that I write a lot about pop culture stuff and random things that come to my mind. It's called Caroline's Current Hyperfixations. And then I have a podcast I do with some other MCL alum called I Need to See That. And we talk a lot about movies if you're into that.
Now, Caroline, the first era we had was called the blank space era. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Also, I will say it's funny because it is typically whenever Travis is asked about what his favorite Taylor Swift song, it always goes back to Blank Space.
Really?
That's kind of his, in a lot of the answers. I think now that the longer he's been dating Taylor, there are more nuanced answers to the question, but it always goes back to Blank Space.
So, Caroline, I had the Eras Tour bracelet thing being the beginning of this.
Yes.
As a Swiftie, is there more there before that we should know about?
I would say for Travis and Taylor, the friendship bracelet is sort of the big bang of it all. I think is sort of the inciting incident of all of this. And I think it's important to note for Taylor's stuff before this, she has broken up with Joe Alwyn.
And who is that?
Joe Alwyn is Taylor's ex of 6 years.
Oh.
He's an actor. He was just most recently in Kinds of Kindness.
I would like to be a spy.
He just looks like a random British guy.
Okay.
Dated for 6 years. Wrote several songs with her on folklore, but also not under his name. He wanted it to be under a code name, which is a whole separate issue.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was a whole hubbub because she and Matt Healy of the 1975 dated. So then she's single, and now there's room for Travis to walk in. But specifically at this concert at Arrowhead, she sang Last Kiss was one of her surprise songs that she does in the surprise song section because she was re-releasing Speak Now, Taylor's version. And it's funny, people have said in hindsight, because the whole song is about her ending this relationship. She never thought they would have a last kiss. And everyone has sort of said, well, now it's is this her last first kiss with Travis, hearing that at the concert. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of woo-woo. I will say, as I like to say, as a Swiftie, I'm when people think I'm a crazy Swiftie, I say I'm a 2 on the scale of 1 to 10, because there are people who are way more intense about this than I am.
Yeah.
And I love and respect and am terrified of all of them. But it's, yeah. So there's a lot of things if you look into it.
Can you just sort of describe the negative qualities of Joe Alwyn and why he and Taylor didn't work out? Because I feel that's
setting the stage.
The stage for the contrast of Travis.
Totally. I think one of the things that was most stood out with Joe and Taylor was that he rarely ever wanted to be seen in public with her. They were much more private. So you would see them sneaking in and out of restaurants versus with Travis, things are so much more public. And I think it's this comparison of most of her exes liked Taylor Swift, the person, but not Taylor Swift, capital T-S, the pop star. Whereas I think Travis, what works so well with the two of them is they're both at the top of their game in their respective fields. And he's able to handle everything that comes with Taylor Swift, the pop star, in a way that I think Joe maybe didn't want to, which is also fine. But they were together for 6 years, and it was that's a long time to be dating someone and sort of, from afar outside as spectating, as we all do with, I think, her love life, sort of was dragging her along. And it feels, that's why I think so much of this relationship feels different, because Travis is involved in every part of her life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Joe just seemed a little bit not almost embarrassed. Yeah, which you're you think about that and you're embarrassed to be with the person everyone in the country wants attention from.
Yeah, too hip to date Taylor Swift.
Yes,
somehow.
A little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Then era 2, the You Belong With Me era. I guess that's...
I feel as far as the order of the songs so far, we only had 2. 2 doesn't necessarily establish a pattern. But I'm pretty sure You Belong With Me was a song that was released well before
Oh no,
Blank
this is
Space.
more just about the theme of the era
I got it.
of her relationship.
Got it. Never mind. Sorry.
Yep.
I thought we were doing chronological.
So it's actually really good. In September of 2023, NFL announcers start weaving Taylor's lyrics into their game commentary. This is when you start getting like fucking Joe Buck being like, there's a blank space out there where the safety left a spot.
He got hit pretty hard. He's gonna have to shake it off.
Yep. Oh my God. That exact one was
Wait,
used
really?
by like fucking Terry Bradshaw and everyone he has spawned.
I believe everyone he has spawned. Oh my God.
Okay, so that was all in the lead up to this happening.
Do we have the special guest at Arrowhead Stadium?
This is Red Zone. This is
and
Scott
I'll warn
Hansen.
you, brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to just look at the internet for the last time, because when this gets spread around the World Wide Web, the internet's going to break.
There she is.
The rumors apparently are true. Taylor Swift is friends with Travis Kelce and the Kelce family. That was Mama Kelce in the luxury suite at Arrowhead Stadium. And, T-Swizzle, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22.
Oh, my God.
So that game happens, and yeah, everyone's freaking out all afternoon because
I
it finally
remember
happened.
this.
She
I
went to a
remember
game.
being on social media during this moment and being like, ah.
Yep. If you guys don't know, that is Scott Hansen, the host of Red Zone, and he's the guy who like eats a bunch of salt and stuff before going on so he can stay on TV for
without peeing
like 12 hours straight.
He has like a
peeing.
special diet in the morning that is very sodium heavy so that he doesn't have to pee for, what is it? How many straight hours of commercial free football?
Oh my God. 11 hours. Of
Yeah. And he talks
football.
the whole time.
Post that game, Travis booked an entire restaurant for like a private celebration. And they left the game in his car, skipping the usual security.
The getaway car.
Yeah.
Which is one of Taylor's lyrics or songs, I think.
2 days before this game, Travis was on the Pat McAfee show.
Oh, yes.
And
a fan favorite of ours.
Yeah, fan favorite.
We love to rip on Pat McAfee in this apartment.
I know, and he and Travis are pretty good friends, I think. So
Makes
they were talking again about Taylor, and basically he said he just told her that he watched her rock out at Arrowhead and that she should come out and watch him at Arrowhead. The exact quote is, I saw you rock the stage in Arrowhead. Now you got to come see me rock the stage in Arrowhead and see which one is more lit.
Yes.
Which is a pretty good line.
Exact words.
Exact words from Travis the Killer Kelce.
Wait,
this
the
was
Killa?
2 days.
Yeah,
I think he calls himself Killa Trav.
Killa Trav. That's his at.
Yeah.
That's his handle.
Right.
So that interview happened 2 days before the big game when no one knew this was really happening. I remember I started getting alerts and I was like, well, I guess I'm watching football for the first time in I don't know how long. I was like, I've got nothing else going on. I'm going to watch Taylor at the game. And I remember it was such a strange, like surreal moment. Because again, we haven't been used to seeing Taylor out in quite to this like public degree in a long time. So I think it was super interesting to sort of see how that was received. And then the pictures and video of them leaving after the game, a lot of people were alluding to her song and reputation. She went back in his getaway car in his top-down convertible. I mean, it was a very public way of doing this, which is why like I think we didn't know so much going on behind the scenes around that time, that this was like sort of the first time launching it, which makes sense because why would you launch a first date with someone so publicly?
That first game where everyone saw her was the same game where they did the like convertible thing.
Yeah, same game.
This is going to sound like I'm more of a Swiftie than I am, but I remembered that because I remembered that I remember her outfits.
Yes. Yeah. They're all great.
So they're like weaving her into all the broadcasts. I think at this phase, wasn't there NFL bro backlash starting?
Yes. She makes a quote about that in the Time Person of the Year interview later that she talks about. I think I wrote this down. I'm just there to support Travis. I have no awareness of if I'm being shown too much and pissing off a few dads, Brads, and Chads. And that sort of became a viral quote after that interview.
Dads, Brads, and Chads. Yeah, I mean, we got into this earlier in the episode. We talked about Tony Romo and Jessica Simpson. Everyone is blaming Jessica Simpson for continuing to come up on their screen while they're watching football. Jessica Simpson is just sitting there watching the game.
Yeah.
Other people
Exactly.
are making it seem like it's all about her.
Yeah.
And then I think amongst Swifties, everyone is either very excited or then there's a section of people who were wondering if this is like a PR sort of relationship.
Okay.
And that sort of falls under the Gaylors, which is there's a huge contingent, I would say, of Swifties who have allegedly thought that maybe there is some truth to Taylor being queer over the years. There's a lot of, if you want to get into it,
I've
that she
never
may have
heard
been in a
this.
relationship with Carly Kloss and Diana Agron. I can point you to a million Reddit threads if you ever that you can waste your time on. So there is a section where they think it's just a PR justification for the two of them.
Oh,
And that still goes to this day.
Yes and no. It's
Okay.
weird. Yeah, I would say it's like a smaller section of the Swifties, but they are pretty strong and vocal.
So
about
that was vocal like right when this first happened.
Yes, yeah.
I also saw just a lot of people posting, like similar to what you said of like, I'm going to watch football for the first time in years. There was a lot of content coming out of like, Swifties were looking for like, okay, if we're going to go all in on this guy, like, what's his job?
Yeah, exactly. We're ready to support. We want to be there. I know it's interesting because like they were like, again, this like reaction of like why we're showing Taylor so much. She improved ratings and made NFL relevant to a section of the population who would not be watching football, but here we are. We're watching football because we're excited to see Taylor, excited to support Travis.
That's
the
true,
Chiefs,
actually.
You know?
Yeah, that is a really good point. Did you feel like it was a PR thing or did you feel like it was real?
I think they were having fun with it.
Yeah.
I think that the two of them and their camps are both smart enough to know, like, we can have fun with this, but also genuinely be dating. I think at this point in Taylor's career, she doesn't need to be in a PR relationship. She is, like, she's monoculture. She's the most famous person in the world. So what would a PR relationship do for her?
But then there is them being on a date at Nobu in NYC, which I guess gets some publicity on blogs.
Nobu it's just a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
And so being seen at Nobu is like, ooh, they were at
Right,
Nobu.
right,
It's like a
okay.
hot spot.
And then right after that, this happened on SNL that night. They both showed up.
Once again, Ice Spice.
Literally, someone made
Once
that
again,
clip.
Ice Spice.
That's how people are obsessed with Taylor.
Oh, I know that.
Once again,
I'm aware.
Just Taylor Swift saying once again Ice Spice.
I feel like part of this episode has been you being like, and can you believe this? And I'm like, no, Jim, I know this. This part I know already.
And then this is a skit from SNL that night. It was a pretty bad sketch where Pete Davidson is a big Taylor Swift fan.
Remember this, I think.
But right at the end, this is after their date.
I want to speak with someone who actually wants to talk football.
Then Taylor introduces Ice Spice because she was a music guest. But then I think it was so fun that like Travis got to be, again, a sort of the tongue in cheek because the sketch was about how much the NFL was showing them. And I think that sort of showed a glimpse of like how much they're sort of both having fun with this together.
One question I really had, because I haven't really understood this yet, is what's the deal with like sort of the box crew, like the Brittany Mahomes of it all, with Taylor at the games?
Between the two seasons, it's different.
Okay.
I think last year, Brittany Mahomes, I feel like was probably her sort of like chief wag, bringing her into the fold. And also, if I was Brittany Mahomes, I would think, oh, I want to be friends with Taylor immediately.
Yeah. I think for Jim's edification, you may need to define what a wag is, unless are you
Sure.
Is it wife and girlfriend?
It is. Never mind.
It is. Yeah, there you go.
Got
Jim's
it.
in on it.
He's got it.
I'm
Never
on
mind.
TikTok.
Never mind.
You know?
I've had my own interest with the Mahomes crew because I just think it's so interesting that Patrick is this star and then everyone around him is sort of just this chaotic hanger-ons. Like I think it was very interesting intentionally. Yeah, Jackson Mahomes is so I think the fact that like we've never really seen Taylor and Jackson anywhere has been very intentional. Because he has his like continued sexual assault allegations that I'm not really sure have they been resolved. So I think initially she was sort of the person bringing her into the Chiefs fold. And then the people that Taylor brings around, it has revolved since then. I tried to get a full list of everyone she's brought.
Oh my God.
And it's kind of impossible. I mean, she's brought Blake, Ryan, and Hugh Jackman were all at one game last year with her. The Himes sisters, I know. Ice Spice, Sophie Turner, Sabrina Carpenter, her parents, her brother dressed up as Santa when they went on the Christmas game last year. It's just like, it's a never-ending kind of crew.
Wow. What's the relationship between her and the Kelces?
I think, well, it's interesting because they talk a lot about it on New Heights. I think the Kelces still seem so grounded as people. They don't really want to abuse, I think, the relationship with Taylor. They want to like enjoy her as the person. Because I think Jason was on some podcast recently where he talked about Taylor told him, you can invite anyone you want to the Eras Tour. And he said immediately no, because then it becomes more and more people are asking for that.
Yeah.
Kylie and Jason have been at least twice to the Eras Tour, and they brought Wyatt. Ed Kelce recently went to one of the Toronto shows, was in a full suit handing out friendship bracelets before the tour. And the show was very sweet. And then I think one of the recent, I think the biggest like sort of Chiefs recent game, Andrea and Scott, Taylor's parents, plus Donna and Ed were all in the suite together. And there's this picture of Taylor with Donna and Andrea on either side, and they're like embracing each other. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, they are family.
The families
it's
know
very
each
sweet
other.
to see. Yeah, because her family's from Pennsylvania, and like More Invisible String, I think Scott, her dad, said he knew like Kylie's dad or something in years past, like way before any of this happened.
Oh, wow.
And her dad used to be a big Eagles fan, but now he's been wearing more Chiefs merch, and that's been a big thing that Jason has joked about as well.
We're going to move on now to era 4, the Karma is my boyfriend era. This is when the couple goes global, apparently, in this era that I made up. This is November of 2023. Taylor performs in Argentina and changes the lyrics of one of her songs to Karma is the guy on the Chiefs. This is that clip.
Gonna track you down, step by step, from town to town. Speak like justice, Karma is a queen. Karma takes all my friends to the summit. Karma is the guy on the Chiefs. Coming straight home.
So that's literally all it was. It was like she almost didn't do it. Like she like
it's like, but she did it. She really loves giving like Easter eggs to her fans. Like she puts like clues in songs and in like liner notes and whatever sometimes. And so she really likes doing that. You can see she literally knows. She's like, the entire internet is going to explode if I say one word differently.
Yeah. Which is insane.
I mean, it was cute though. I mean, we can get into this when we talk to Caroline more, but I believe that the reason it was such a weighty thing is because she's like using this song that was written probably during the wake of her breakup with her last big boyfriend, and is like putting
Karma is this new person.
Exactly. This new person that I'm dating. Yeah.
Okay.
When that happened, I knew about it immediately. I've seen it from 30 different angles probably at this point. And I think this was a big deal because this was the first Eras concert that Travis was attending with them dating. And I want to say it was a bye week for the Chiefs. So he was... it's a farther flight than you think to Argentina because it's almost at Antarctica. So it was like a 12-hour flight or something like that. Was there literally for 2 nights and then flew back after the concert.
Wow.
But it was, and Scott was there, Taylor's dad. So there's an angle you see of Scott, her dad, filming Travis reacting to her saying Karma's the guy on the Chiefs. Kind of. I think he might have been the only one that knew, but even the dancers you can see in the reaction on the stage, they didn't know that lyric change was going to happen. So that's why it was so exciting. No one really knew that this was about to take place.
Wow.
Oh, and then also I think one of the big things after this specific concert, you see Taylor is running off stage and Travis is like waiting like with his hands behind his back, like not, to see if she wanted to like kiss him or not really force her into that. And she runs up and kisses him and everyone films that angle and everyone loses their mind. And he then they walk off stage to backstage together. So I think it was just sort of a confirmation of so many things. It's like, oh, this is different than so many of her other relationships.
Over the weekend, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce appearing to make their romance official with a very public kiss. The sweet moment quickly going viral and throwing the internet into a frenzy. It happened after her show on Saturday, the pop superstar running off the stage and into Kelce's arms, planting a kiss on his lips in full view of her fans. Swifties screaming their approval on social media. Kelce taking advantage of an off week for the Chiefs to fly to Buenos Aires to spend time with his new sweetheart and see her in concert. And she did not disappoint. The singer even changing the lyrics of her Grammy-nominated hit song Karma to reflect her current romance with the Super Bowl champion. The newest Chiefs Swift fan adorably holding his face in response, and Swifties shrieking in glee.
Now we'll move into the final era, the daylight era. What's been happening in 2024 or since sort of everything kind of broke onto the scene last year?
There's so much that's sort of public at this point that it's hard to break down the big things. But I think the biggest thing that started the year was the Super Bowl. It was such a big thing once the Chiefs got into it because Taylor had tour dates in Japan. So everyone was asking, is Taylor going to make the Super Bowl?
We are in Tokyo, Japan. Taylor Swift has a concert here in Tokyo the day before the Super Bowl. Tokyo is 17 hours ahead of Las Vegas. Okay, the doors open at her concert at 6 p.m. At the Tokyo Dome, okay? A typical Taylor show goes until midnight.
Right.
So if she goes directly to the airport, after she's done with the concert, she pops on that plane of hers. It will be around 7 a.m. Saturday morning in Vegas. This flight right here, it's not short. It's anywhere from 10 to 14 hours. This says 10, the prompter says 14. Who knows, okay? So then she would land in Vegas around 9 p.m. Saturday night. She could change. She could go to some pre-parties. So the answer is she could do it. If anybody could do it, it's her.
The concert ends at this time. They're this many hours ahead. Can Taylor make it? So she made it, and that was a big deal. And there were lots of pictures of her in the suite. Like Ice Spice was there. She's drinking her signature vodka cran. And I remember it was a big deal when she made it out to the field after they won.
Yeah.
Because there's so much footage of that.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
You see her, like Donna Kelce sort of guiding her a bit, and she's like waiting to the side after he talks to his parents, and then they get to have their moment on the field. And that was like it felt like the big culmination of, pop star, massive athlete, him winning the Super Bowl. It was a big deal. And he had said, I think before the Super Bowl, she's rewriting the history books herself. I told her I'll have to hold up my end of the bargain and come home with some hardware too. So then he won the Super Bowl. So after the Super Bowl, they went to Coachella together. That was early April. And that was a big deal because I think you don't really see Taylor at music festivals like that. And they were in the crowd. And that was like a big thing to see, like, wow, like Taylor is able to sort of be in the crowd watching Sabrina Carpenter and Lana Del Rey, like all these like big things, like getting to attend one of these as a spectator and not having to be in a VIP tent. She was out in the crowd.
Travis Kelce's head over heels in love with our blondie Taylor Swift, and he just proved that at the recent Coachella festival. He was seen kissing, teasing and touching Taylor all night and did not let her go for a single second.
And you could see that they were both having a lot of fun with that. I think that's something we've seen. They've done much more public things like attending the World Series, the U.S. Open, which they attended with the Mahomes, and things like that I think that have been really interesting to see how public they've been. And after that, then the first song about Travis was released on the Torture Poets department in April.
Wait, really? Which song is about him?
So High School.
Oh, I don't think was that on the original release or on the double album part of the release?
It's on the anthology release.
Okay.
So the second set of songs. Don't you fret, I got lyrics from it for you.
I
think the bridge is like, because she's added this, once the tour reopened, the next leg in Europe, then they added the Torture Poets department to the set list. The bridge is truth, dare, spin bottles. You know how to ball. I know Aristotle. Brand new Full Throttle, Touch Me While Your Bros Play Grand Theft Auto. It's true, swear, Scout's honor. You know what you wanted, and boy, you got her.
That's just taking me back to, I feel like we've talked about this, like when you're young and you you like someone and you go over, you're like, oh, I'm going to go hang out. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to watch you and your friends play video games. Okay.
Yeah, he really won the lottery here because she's writing about him playing Grand Theft Auto like it's like meaningful. Everyone plays Grand Theft Auto.
I know. I was like, Taylor did not have the era that I think, like, you know, Andi and I's age of watching guys play Guitar Hero in college. Like, that was like
I played.
a thing.
Yeah, that is.
Oh, yeah.
That is.
If you could get the pinky, the expert level, then that was very attractive. Yeah.
I remember those times watching guys play Guitar Hero and hating it. But when you love someone, your perspective really changes, because I watched you play Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and I had never seen Jim play Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and I was like a little bit into it. I was like, you're like excellent.
Yeah.
Oh my
What
God.
you'll do for love. What I did for love, a chorus line.
What I
did for love. After that, so then I think Taylor starts doing Travis's end zone move with the Archer during the torture post. So there's like a lot of, she started doing this. When she performed at Wembley, she hard launched Travis on her page. And this is, I just think, is so unhinged and speaks to the celebrity that they both have. It was a selfie with Prince William, George, and Charlotte attending the Eras Tour.
Strange way to launch.
Then night 3 of this run in June is when, so Taylor has added the Torture Poets Department set. And there's this little sort of section before she goes into singing I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, which is the last song in that set, where two of the dancers come up. They're in coattails and this like whole thing. And they're like showing, like they're like putting makeup on her, like she's like a doll, and like having to like do a face, like, because I can do it with a broken heart. And at this night 3, Travis comes out as one of the guys, and everyone freaked out because he was on stage with her and he was doing his sort of showman thing. He's, you know, picking her up. That was like one of the big pictures that then she posted on her roundup about that section of the tour, is him carrying her on stage.
Yeah, he like picks her,
talked
he like
about
fireman carries her, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And talked about that on the New Heights podcast, where he had said, I was just so worried the entire time that I was going to drop her, and that would have been a horrible thing. Because I also looked up, he's been to the Eras Tour 14 times.
Wow.
A few weeks later, she did her surprise song has morphed into her doing mashups at this point in the tour. So Travis was at her Amsterdam stops in July, and that was like a day or two before the year anniversary of him in Kansas City. And the mashup was So High School, Everything Has Changed, and Mary's song from her debut album, which again, another invisible string, where one of the lyrics is, I'll be 87, you'll be 89. And this was on her debut album. Travis is 87, and then 1989 is the year she was born.
Whoa.
So that was written in 2006.
I'll be 87, you'll be 89. Still look at you like the stars that shine in the sky. Oh,
I know, it's funny when you like get into it. You're like, it's weird how these things sort of line up. And there's like a video of Travis like reacting to it. You can see he's like kind of crying and tearing up in the video. It's sweet. So all of that, like, and all those songs are specifically like about these long-term like relationships and how like everything has changed and this relationship is different. So that was like a big deal. He showed up, surprised her like at the Dublin show, and you see there's this screen grab of Taylor like gets this big grin on her face when she realizes she sees him in the VIP tent like mid-set. And then she was at the Black Friday game this Friday. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens next, especially as the tour wraps up in a week. We'll see how much more he's featured on the next album. It's also funny we're recording it today because Holiday Touchdown, A Chief's Love Story, is premiering on Hallmark tonight.
It's really funny you say that because our next episode after this is going to be a review of that.
Yes.
Incredible. Featuring Donna Kelce.
So if you're listening to this right now, you got a little teaser of that we're going to do that.
I already knew about this coming up because a couple people have requested that we do something with it, but Jim didn't, and it like came up on the TV, and Jim was like, "What?"
I literally said,
"What is this?
The fuck is this?" Just like Andi Reid's in it because of course he is.
Of course.
Travis has sort of used this fame in his way too.
and sort of now he's like acting and stuff. Like he acted in like a TV, like an FX show or something.
Grotesqueries. Yes.
So like he's kind of like leveraging this whole thing.
One of the rumors I've read too is that like I think probably part of like what we're seeing with Travis like starting to act. I mean, and they sold New Heights for $100 million, which is wild. And he's setting up for the next leg of his career post football. Because I've read rumors that say if the Chiefs three-peat this year, then likely he might retire after this.
Really?
Because then it's like, how else are you supposed to keep at it after that, I think? Because he's also in the later end of his career. So I've sort of read theories about that. I don't know how true that is, but it would make sense with the fact that like he's been acting. He's hosted the Who's Smarter Than a Fifth Grader. So stuff like that I feel like is setting up the legacy, which I think is also what's so different between this and like Jessica Simpson and Tony Romo. And also I highly recommend, if you haven't read Open Book by Jessica Simpson, it's one of our great celebrity memoirs. And she really gets into a lot of the stuff with Tony Romo. And this also like overlapped around the time when people were talking about her body at the chili cook-off, which was
Wait, can you
wild.
Throw that story in here?
Jessica performed, I think this was like maybe 2006 or something like that, like a chili cook-off. And everyone freaks out because they're like, oh, Jessica looks so big. She's gained so much weight. When in reality, she was a size 4.
Oh, my God.
And she talks about this in the book. And that sort of was around the same time she was dating Tony Romo. And also it was like overlapping with the John Mayer stuff because there was a lot of back and forth around that time. So there was a lot of discussion just about Jessica as like a body and like not like a person. And so I think there's a lot that like I think could have been much worse if social media were what it is now than at that time. So I think that's like what's interesting between the contrast between the two, because now it's like we have nonstop like, you know, X, Blue Sky, whatever, Instagram, we're seeing TikTok, everything of their relationship, versus then it was just like what was on TV. And so it's an interesting like what has changed and shifted since then.
Like there's a whole culture around supporting them, whereas it used to be I guess that's like a little bit of a shift in the culture, you know? Like if the male narrative of like this woman's a distraction was definitely bigger than it is now, or maybe Taylor just is too big and transcends this.
Part of it is that, like Jessica Simpson, she was definitely very, very popular for a moment, but I don't know that she ever achieved anywhere near the level of like fame and, you know, belovedness. Things have not changed enough and they still need to change more. But when you look back at even 2006, you're like, wow, it was so much worse.
Oh, yeah. I think it's because it's the end of the day, it's like it's easier to blame a woman for a team losing than like actually addressing that maybe our players need to be better, like we were saying.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, everything to do with the dudes running it.
Or like, as I have said many times, the way a game works is that one team wins and one team loses. You have a very good chance of being the team that loses, regardless of what goes right or wrong. Caroline, do you have any predictions for the future? Like the football season has ended and she's done with Eras tours.
I'm excited to see what the music is going to sound like next that she's recording for this. Like, I think it'll be good for her to get away and us sort of see like what that next batch of new music sounds like. I don't know. There's also theories people think they're already engaged. So I could see a world where they're engaged and married and we don't know about it until afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. Because otherwise they'd have to do like, not to bring up the royals again, but like a televised royal wedding.
And I'll pay for it.
They're going to do it. It's going to be at Arrowhead.
Yeah,
it's going to be, there's going to be a whole drone show.
Yeah.
Definitely a drone show.
Jack Antonoff will write a new song for Taylor to walk down the aisle to.
Yeah, he'll be lowered in a hot air balloon while he's doing it.
He will officiate entirely in song.
Yeah.
100%.
Taylor's vows will be a new song.
It'll be a surprise drop at midnight. We get a whole album of the vows.
Yep.
I feel like Travis is going to try to rap.
That's when they jump the shark if Travis raps on an album. We're going to get a Travis on a Taylor song. And
it's going to happen.
It's
going to be a lot of auto-tune and it's going to sound fine.
Or he's going to write a song and it's going to be the most sort of basic, like, one fish, two fish, I love Taylor Swift fish.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Slant rhyme.
I sky love above. Thank you, Caroline, for being
Thank you for
our
having me.
Swiftie correspondent.
Yes, we'll have to have you back when inevitably they do more.
Yes.
Happy to tap in. Happy for anyone to let me talk about this. This is really exciting.
Amazing.
If you want to read or hear more from Caroline, you can check out her Substack, which is Caroline's Current Hyperfixations, or you can hear her on the movie podcast, I Need to See That. I think what's really interesting about this relationship and why I have now started to think like this is really real, like these people could like be together for a long time, is because he seems really game for the fact that he is dating an incredibly powerful woman who is very much in the public eye, and he doesn't seem at all like threatened by it, and he also doesn't seem at all overwhelmed by it because he himself is already famous and like likes the attention. So I don't know, like where I stand right now is it seems like maybe like this is like a real thing that's like not I don't necessarily, again, I'm not a huge fan, so I don't necessarily like care per se, but it does seem real to me now.
Yeah, and I just do have to just insert my obligatory, like, I hate this. Like, their whole thing is just like capitalism, heroism, putting these people on a pedestal as if they matter more than everybody, and running money through them.
Yes, and it really it does give a vibe of like most popular girl in high school dating the football player, which is not a vibe that makes a lot of people feel like good about
Especially
themselves.
not like people that we like on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we talk about those themes a lot,
But
like just popular kid.
Taylor Swift as like queen of capitalism, like I have a lot of issues with. I do think her public image is so choreographed. And on the one hand, you're like, well, it has to be because she's super, super famous. And then on the other, you're like, she is choosing to do a 2-year-long Eras tour in every city in the entire world. So, like, yes, her life does have to be choreographed, but she's also choosing a life like this. Yeah. I go back and forth with her a lot.
Thank you so much for listening to our Travis and Taylor episode.
We hope you enjoyed our guest, Caroline Nash. Thank you again to Caroline for being our Swiftie correspondent.
Yes, and for allowing us to test out our remote correspondence capabilities here in the studio, which I'm always excited to add new techniques and filming
Anytime
stuff.
Jim can buy a new cord or cable, it's a good day.
It really is. And speaking of good days, it is the holiday season.
It sure
and
is.
if you'd like to support our show and get all of our sort of reversal topic episodes.
Yes, where I tell Jim about Theater Kid things.
You can find those on our Patreon, and that's patreon.com/SKDK pod. We just had an episode where Andi explained The Music Man to me in detail, and then we went into the drama of the revival of The Music Man and some salacious relationship stuff.
We did. So you can find us over there on our Patreon. You can also gift people a subscription if you want.
Yep, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bum, bum,